Hey guys, I hope you guys are doing well and that your week is off to a great start, or maybe you're meeting later on in the week and that so far your week has been going well, or so excited that you're meeting with your groups and you're connecting and digging into some of this information or some of these thoughts just a little bit more together. And so I just hope you guys are doing well. I'm praying for an amazing week for you guys. I just wanted to go over today just a little bit about what we talked about this morning as we celebrated our moms, but really specifically we talked about how to flourish as an individual and how to in turn allow that to spread and to begin to take shape and form and affect those all around us that we have daily interactions with in our life. And so we took our key text from Ephesians chapter 3 verse 14 to 19 about Paul's prayer for spiritual growth, and we were able to kind of glean a few things out of what Paul's talking about in terms of how do we attain spiritual growth, how do we take steps forward so that we can flourish as an individual and let that spill forth to those around us in our life. And the first step that we took from verse 16 was that the first step is to allow the Holy Spirit to empower us with inner strength, through that empowering of the Holy Spirit that gives us inner strength. Part of what verse 16 talked about was that we get to access his unlimited resources, and we talked about all the unlimited resources that God has. It's not something that's limited like a Google, but this is unlimited resources, unlimited access to those things. And so that was step one into allowing and to coming into a place where we are truly flourishing. Then we looked at how once we surrender to him, then Jesus can begin to make a home in our hearts, which causes our roots to deepen and be made strong. That was verse 17 that talked about the strengthening of our roots as we truly surrender our heart to Jesus and truly say, okay, God, my heart is yours. And begin to look at maybe some of the ways, as we looked at Jeremiah, about how that contrast of something that's planted in shallow, not good soil on things of the flesh and on ideas, and how versus somebody who's firmly planted in who God is and upon his promises, then that tree flourishes and has, no matter if drought comes and no matter what challenging seasons and times come, that even then their leaves are green in every season and they bear fruit. I mean, incredible combo here. Green leaves all the time and bearing fruit, no matter what the season, no matter what challenges are faced in your life. Those are the two things that we begin to see when we are allowing the Holy Spirit to empower us. We're accessing those unlimited resources that God has for us. We're beginning to grasp this incredible love that God has for us, and allowing Jesus to reign in our hearts and allowing those roots to grow down and become strong. And then once those roots are established in God's love, then we looked at how we can not only flourish ourselves as we grow in our knowledge of God's incredible love, but we can also help those around us flourish as well. And recognizing that we have influence everywhere we go, every room we walk into, every conversation we engage in, whether that's digitally or whether that's in person, we have influence and we have the power to bring a change and a shift in the atmosphere simply by allowing the Spirit to move through us and in us, and the joy that we bring and the confidence that we bring. Everything can change when we are allowing God to truly take root in our lives and beginning to flourish. That begins to affect everyone around us. And even though we might think we're not, people aren't watching or people aren't looking to us for an example, they are, and we have the power to change and influence with our attitude, with our response, with our tone, and people will begin to notice those things. But it doesn't just stop there. Then we looked at the story of Joshua and how a life truly surrendered to him will enable the Spirit to lead us to places of victory in our life and those around us in ways we could have never done on our own. And we looked in chapter 6 of Joshua, where Joshua did the very things that we saw explained to us in Ephesians chapter 3, of how he allowed the Holy Spirit to empower him and give him inner strength. He accessed those unlimited resources that God has for us. He said yes to giving his heart to the Lord and said, yes, Lord, you are number one in my life. He allowed his roots to go down deep, and then the Lord began to not only flourish him in his own life, but he allowed him to lead others into a place of victory. And that's what we're calling all of us to, is that we can be effective and we can allow the Holy Spirit to lead and guide us, to lead those around us, lead people into victory, to say, come on, let's go, we can do this, come on, there's better days ahead. And that's what we saw in the story of Joshua, as he led the people into victory, as they took down the walls of Jericho with such detailed instructions and detailed description, and a way of seeing victory that only could have happened simply because of the Lord. There was no other way. It was not because of his own strength or his own power. It was just simply because of the Lord. And so we looked at those things and just were reminded that Joshua had his heart and mind aligned to the Lord, and he was ready to hear from him. And the Lord spoke clearly, and Joshua responded with a yes. And that is the key to flourishing and seeing victory in our lives. And then we were reminded, and I want to remind you again, that the battles are not over. There will be more challenging times ahead. I wish I was a better news than that, but that's just the reality of the life that we live in. But guess what? Joshua faced more challenges. They had more battles ahead, and he continued to seek the Lord daily, continued to ask and seek and knock, not because he had an answer in mind, because he just knew that as he sought the Lord would be faithful to respond and to give him wisdom and to give him direction. And then we came into Joshua 21, where the incredible promises that God had made to Joshua's ancestors came to pass. Every enemy was defeated. They had rest on every side. Every single promise that the Lord had made to those Israelites was fulfilled. Not one thing was missed. Everything was fulfilled. And God wants to do the same in your life. He wants to fulfill those same promises. God's ways are so much greater and so much higher than our own. And I know that incredible victories lie ahead for you as you seek God's will and you say a yes to whatever it is that he is calling you to and is asking you towards and is asking you to take steps of faith forward in. There are great days ahead. Just as Pastor Ryan spoke on last week, he's not done yet. There is more ahead for you as an individual, for your family, for us as a church together. What can God use all of us to do as we say, hey, this is not time to step back. This is time to move forward, to press in, to seek God's face a little more. And so, begin to think about I love the part where we kind of took a moment in the sermon to say, hey, what things have I allowed to influence my thinking and my attitude and my thoughts, especially in this year. There's been so many media outlets coming at us from every angle, conversations with family members and workmates and different things that might have allowed our roots to go down into things that are a little bit shallow and have not been a firm place, and we've been blown about and tossed about this year. What is God saying to you? What landscaping do we have to do maybe to uproot those things and reestablish them in the firm and sure and solid foundation that God has provided for us in his unending love for us, where he wants to resource you with his unlimited resources, and he wants to establish you with firm roots that you may have green leaves and bear fruit in every season. I love you guys. I hope you have a great discussion tonight.